of $200,000 on the line, everyone's bringing their A game. Hank Parker joins us today to help preview the strategies of 3 pros who know what it takes to succeed on Arkansas's Beaver Lake. We'll also teach you how to practice like the pros as we prepare you for the 4th stop on the Walmart FLW Tour. All the action starts right now on FLW Outdoors.
And welcome to FLW Outdoors. Today we're joining you from Beaver Lake in northwest Arkansas, the site of the 4th stop on the Walmart FLW Tour. I'm Carlton Wing with Taylor Carr and Hank Parker. And guys, usually this is a spawning event. We have beaten the spawn and we have also beaten springtime. It's still winter here in northwest Arkansas.
It's 34 degrees this morning. It's going to be a real factor.
Well, I think that 34 degrees is measured at the airport. Out here on the water with the wind chill, it's probably about 25 degrees. It is cold.
Well, usually at Beaver Lake, the storyline is always sight fishing and the spawn, but this year, guys, it's going to be different.
Well, I think last year, water temperature, they tell me, was about 59 to 65 degrees, and this year it's about 49 to 50 degrees, so it's not going to be sight fishing.
Very little chance, maybe a 5% chance that sight fishing will be any kind of factor at all.
And for our anglers who usually contend here and usually rely on that, such as last year's champion Andre Moore and Clark Winlet, they're going to have to go to some of the other tricks in their bag.
It's going to be interesting to watch that. If you look at Clark Winlet, I'm going to spend some time with him on the water, and we'll see what his game plan is for this event. But it's always been sight fishing, and he's been in the top 10 like 4 out of 5 times, so he is the man. But he's been the man on Beaver Lake under conditions when it was sight fishing, and now it's going to be a different ballgame. So I really want to see how he fares. That's going to be neat to watch.
Well, the conditions are different, but the prestige is still the same, Taylor. This is still the Walmart Open.
Yeah, this is the 4th of 6 events, but it's $1.26 million and $200,000 to the winner. It's a big one, and these points are also important for the Jacobs Cup and the Road to Richmond.
And that Road to Richmond right now, Dan Moorhead is our leader in the Angler of the Year points race. A lot of pressure on him as we're all trying to compile points to get into that Jacobs Cup.
Well, you look, Biffle's just behind him, and Tommy, he's tough, you know, and so Dan doesn't have much of a cushion. And then Clark's only like 30 points back. He's in 4th place. So this thing is really tight, and it's a lot of pressure. Not only the guys at the top, but the guys that at the bottom that are fighting to get in that 48 to make it to Richmond, because that's a big deal, man. 500 grand of the winner, that'll change your life. So a lot of pressure.
You talked to Clark Winlet, but also Dion Hibden and Andre Moore. What did Dion tell you?
Well, I think Dion, I watched Dion fish and I talked to him and I could just see his confidence level. I think he feels like that the guys that have been here in the past and they've learned how to fish Beaver Lake. They've learned how to fish Beaver Lake with the water about 10 feet higher than it is now. And they've all learned to fish bushes, and they fished areas and bays and creeks and coves that have bushes, and that's not the case this year. You know, last year you talked about they were fishing around picnic tables and all the buckbrush was flooded. This year, the guys that have fished these Ozark lakes with no structure in the summertime when it's low, I think those are the guys that are going to have the advantage, and Dion is one of those guys.
How about Andre Moore?
Andre has got a lot of confidence as well. The areas where he fished last year, again, they're high and dry, but he feels like he knows where the fish are going to move, and he's in those areas, and he's catching some fish, so it's going to be interesting.
Hank joins our 3 contenders a little bit later on in the program, but coming up next on FLW Outdoors, we will preview Beaver Lake in Arkansas.
Here's your Field & Stream trivia question. The largemouth bass is a member of which family of fish? Perch, bass, sunfish, carp, or Adams? The answer and more FLW Outdoors is coming up. Here's your Field & Stream trivia answer. The largemouth bass is a member of which family of fish? The answer is C. The largemouth bass, as well as the smallmouth and spotted bass, are members of the sunfish family.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're joining you from Beaver Lake in northwest Arkansas, the site of this week's event on the Walmart FLW Tour.
Yeah, this is a regular stop, Carlton. It's the 4th stop, and this one is the first big money event. In all, in the Walmart Open, $1.26 million.
Might do it, man. Ah!
Ta-da!
The FLW Tour returns to Arkansas's Beaver Lake for the 6th consecutive year, so many pros know the hundreds of miles of shoreline inside and out. Beaver Lake is about 30,000 acres of deep, clear water fed by the White River. You won't find a bigger fan of the lake than Missouri's Rick Clunn, who won here in 2000 and plans to keep coming back.
Well, Beaver Lake is the reason that I actually live in the Ozarks. I fished it early in my career, and I really love the Ozarks. Beaver Lake is the White River chain, just a beautiful chain. No other chain can you catch quality largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass all in the same lakes.
By far the most successful pro on Beaver Lake is Texan Clark Wendlandt, with 2 wins here and 4 straight top 10s.
All right.
Like many anglers, Wendlandt likes to target spawning fish, and that raises a big question. With the event about a week earlier than last year, will the spawn be as much of a factor?
You know, I don't think sight fishing is going to be a major player this year. I think it'll be a pre-spawn jerkbait and crankbait. The water temperature is about 50 to 52 degrees, and I've had a pretty good practice, so I really look forward to it, but it's not going to be sight fishing.
I'm kind of hoping that spawn thing's not going on, but I don't know. But Beaver Lake is it's a great place to fish, and if you're going to go to the lake when the water's real cold, you need to go somewhere where there's spots, and I think the spots will really come into play this time.
It doesn't usually take a big bite to win on Beaver.
That's a decent spot, huh?
Last year, rookie Andre Moore took the title, but averaged less than 10 pounds a day. And pros won't have to contend with high water this time around. Last year, Beaver was about 10 feet above normal.
Your banana boat outdoor conditions get better as the week progresses. We start with cold and breezy conditions Wednesday with lows in the 30s, but the anglers who make the cut will be rewarded financially and with nicer weather. By Saturday, we're into the mid-70s under mostly sunny skies. The UV forecast starts with a 3 and ends with a 5. Up next on FLW Outdoors, Hank Parker joins 2-time Angler of the Year, Kellogg's pro Clark Wendlandt. FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices, always. By Yamaha Outboards. And by Kellogg's, the best to you each morning.
Hi, and welcome back to FLW Outdoors. I'm Hank Parker, and we're on Beaver Lake in Arkansas, and we have got a dynamite show lined up today. We're going to be fishing with 3 superstars. We're going to be fishing with Andre Moore, Dion Hibden, and we're going to start with Clark Wendlandt. The last tournament, Clark caught a smallmouth bass that weighed 8'4". I'm just amazed. He's my new hero, my new best buddy. He's going to show us how to do it.
Really, you know, usually I've done really well sight fishing here, but we're going to go out today and throw a crankbait and a jerkbait. It's a little bit earlier in the year. I think the fish are going to be a little bit deeper, so we're just going to see if we can go fishing.
Well, you are the man, and it is a treat for us to fish with you, so let's get started and catch those big smallmouth. I want to know how to do that. That's what I want to do. I never caught a smallmouth even close to that. In the past, when you've done well here, as you have every time we've been here, is it been because you've put together a good, consistent pattern with spotted bass?
Well, you know, most of the fishing that I've done well here. I've done well. I've only fished this lake really one time other than sight fishing, and I caught spotted bass that time. But the other times, I'll target those spotted bass with sight fishing a lot. They're usually pretty easy to catch. So I've been fortunate enough to do well here and make the top 10.
Well, you are the man.
Four or five different times here.
You are the man here.
I always utilize spotted bass.
You own this place. Now, don't be too humble. You are the man. That's why I'm asking you. Then that was the question.
Well, I think spotted bass are a big key because it just, you know, you have a chance of catching limit, and then if you can catch 1 or 2 big largemouth. You know, we talk about bass fishing and kidding around, having a good time, trying to find fish, but the humbling thing about it is our troops over there in Iraq right now, that, you know, they're actually dying for our freedom, and I don't, you know, it's pretty humbling, pretty incredible.
Fishing is something that a lot of countries, they don't have that privilege, don't have the freedom, don't Are you able to change gears pretty easy? I mean, coming from Alabama and Mississippi. All right, you've been kind enough to show us your pattern, so I know what that's all about. I know you don't want to catch anymore, but we really need to take a commercial break. But when we come back, I want to talk to you about sight fishing, and I want you to give some real detail about how to be a great sight fisherman.
Okay, sounds great.
So we'll be right back and going to talk about sight fishing right after this commercial break. Is the key to eat a bowl of Frosted Flakes every morning before you start? Is that the big key?
Absolutely. You got to start with a bowl of Frosted Flakes, and then you got your Frosted Flakes cereal bars to go on up in the day. You got everything you need.
After you started winning everything, I started trying that, and I'm going to be honest with you, I still do better with Raisin Bran. I think it may be an age thing.
Well, shoot, to each his own. Raisin Bran's pretty good too, pretty hard to beat.
All right. And I know it's not going to work. It doesn't appear that it's going to work this trip. What is the key to being a great sight fisherman?
Well, sight fishing is more of a, not having to be fishing all the time. Be patient and watching a lot. You just got to watch those fish a lot and try to figure out what mood they're in and if they're catchable. And a little bit of that comes from experience, but a lot of it just comes from watching the fish and kind of seeing what he may be interested in or what he's going to want. And instead of just, being real aggressive and just going after the fish, that's kind of my take on it. I think a little bit of it's experience, but I think if you don't have that patience to just watch the fish, then you're not going to be able to do it real well.
You have several different kind of sunglasses, one kind of sunglass. Is that the most critical deal?
I think it is. The sunglasses I wear are solar bats, and the key I think that they've come out with is they've come out with this green lens, and if you think about most places that is water's clear enough to see fish on the beds, it's green water, and for some reason that green lens really sees into that green water better. Huh. And the only time I think it makes a difference, I've always heard or used to hear that you need yellow lenses or you need amber lenses.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And you need those lenses, I think, when you go to Florida, when you get that brown tannic looking water. But when you're in green water, I think that they've got a lens called mossback green. I just think it's by far the best lens they make.
Do you train your eye to see them? I mean, do you really spend a lot of time looking for fish and have a trained eye? I fished with Guido, and he could see fish I never saw. I mean, just blew my mind.
Yeah, I think it's just guys that like doing it. They've spent a lot of time doing it, and they get used to it. And it's a little bit like hunting when you're sight fishing. You're kind of hunting a fish to fish for. You're not necessarily just fishing to catch a fish. You're hunting for a fish to fish for. And I've always enjoyed hunting, and for some reason, sight fishing it just fits me well.
Even though it's not great conditions right now for sight fishing, I don't want to miss the opportunity to get your information and pick your brain on what it takes to be a good sight fisherman and how you go about it. So I see you got your sunglasses. I know you're the only guy that I know that is a great sight fisherman that uses bait casting equipment. So your baits have to be a little bit different, and I just want to see what those are, and I want you to tell us about them.
We'll talk about it a little bit. You know, the first thing is a great pair of sunglasses. These are solar bats. They've got green lenses, mossback green lenses, and if you don't have the proper sunglasses, you won't be able to see the fish, and that's really one of the huge keys.
You pull that hat down and get that.
Pull that hat down, and you know, you don't want any peripheral light in there, but you know, what we're trying to do is be able to see the fish, and from there you need patience, and you need to be able to sit there and actually observe the fish, not just fish for it. Don't just cast in there as soon as you see him. And if he spooks off and leaves, you know, you just can't worry about that. That's gonna happen. He's gonna leave.
Now, do you wait on him to come back, or if he does leave, do you leave, or does that vary from fish to fish?
It really varies from fish to fish. What I will do is, I will probably not leave. I'm gonna stay there until I at least make a determination whether I can catch that fish. And that's where I feel like I'm probably better than most people is that I've done this so long and caught so many fish that I feel like I can tell if I can catch him or not.
Do you feel like, now I know you've ruled here at Beaver, I mean, you made the top 10 almost every event they've had here, and you've done a lot of that sight fishing. Do you feel like that it's possible that this event could turn into a sight fishing tournament?
I don't really think so. I'm gonna look the next couple of days. We're gonna have some sun, looks like today, this is 2 days before the tournament, and there's a chance there'll be a few. What I've found in the past is that on the Ozark lakes, the lakes that got the real clear water, there'll be some fish that spawn early. 55-degree water temperature, they'll spawn, and it'll take them a long time. They'll have to be on the nest a long time, but they'll go ahead and spawn. So I'll look some, but I don't think it's gonna be.
Well, that's the rules too, you know. I mean, if you look at the rule of thumb, people think about spawn, they're thinking about 70 degrees, and you're saying here on the Ozarks that it's not unusual at 55 from the start.
Oh, definitely. 55 is definitely doable. I know I've fished a tournament on Lake of the Ozarks one time, and it was about 52 to 55 degree water temperature, and there was quite a few fish on the bed.
Well, I tell you what, it's you've set this tournament world on fire. I've been following your career ever since you started, man, and you're just doing a great job, and it's really awesome what you've accomplished. So I guess you're just going to keep right on rolling.
I hope so. You know, I think desire is a big part of it, and you know as well as I do that the young kids coming up today, they're hungry and they want to get out there and beat you as bad as they can. So, you know, you got to stay on top of it. You got to fish hard, and you got to really want to do well. And
well, to me, you're a young kid.
Well, I am a young kid, and I appreciate that. But I'm getting older, and in this tournament crowd, I'm starting to get pretty old.
Clark Wimlett, the man, boy, I tell you, I know I've enjoyed this. It's been great for me, and I know all our viewers at home is really going to appreciate it. I wish we had 2 hours, but we don't, so we need to wrap this up and move on.
All right, that sounds great. Well, hey, I enjoyed spending the day with you.
Hey, thanks, man. It's been great. Hey, coming up next on FLW Outdoors, we got Alvin Shaw on practice fishing.
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Lowry's Seasonings, your secret to great flavor. By Snickers. Going fishing? Grab a Snickers. And by Pedigree. Healthy, happy dog for life.
Welcome back to Walmart FLW Outdoors on Arkansas's Beaver Lake. There's more from Hank Parker coming up. First, this is Alvin Shaw. We're talking about practicing for an event. Now, Alvin, it's about 39 degrees and it was raining like crazy earlier, but you're out here ready to practice today. Why is practice so important?
Well, you just got a short amount of time to get in all the practice you can and try to locate and duplicate a pattern for the lake. One thing I try to do is get the lay of the land. I mean, get an idea what everything looks like, so you're trying to cover a lot of water also. Then when you do catch fish, you know other areas of the lake that you can go back that look like where you've been catching. Usually when I'm practicing, I like an array of tools out, I guess let's say. And I'll try to have that narrowed down, you know, like 2 or 3 rods by tournament time. During practice, I try to fish whatever the water's letting me have, I guess. A lot of times, especially in the last couple of days of practice, I like to cover my hook barb up so I won't stick any fish and sore mouth them or cause them not to bite during the tournament when I need them. So what I like to do is just take some plain old duct tape. It just takes a little bitty piece, about the size of a dime. Then you take, just wrap that around there, leaving a little bit past the tip. And the fish can still grab on. Sometimes you can even pull them to the top, or if you want to look at them, or you can just, you know, give them slack line. They shake that out, no problem. And then the other baits, like a jig, I may just cut the hook point off and bend the barb in. And then on a crankbait, I'll just take my good hooks off, put old hooks on that are dull enough where you won't stick them.
We always hear the phrase, anglers don't want to sore mouth their fish. That's what you're talking about. You don't want to catch them and have them reluctant to bite 2 days later.
That's correct.
Something you said about fish you do catch early on, you'll look to see what they've been eating and then maybe adjust your tactics because of that.
Yeah, that's very important in my opinion. I'm putting on a new chunk on my jig. And like I say, when I caught that spotted bass, it had a crawfish in it. I reached in, you know, and pulled it up a little bit, and you could see it had little orange pinchers on it. So I'm gonna go with something with some orange on it now.
Alvin, talking about practice, some anglers always say they'll practice well, but then fish terrible in the event, or they had a great practice and do nothing in the event. Do you have a pattern like that?
Oh, yeah, that happens to everybody. Like the last tournament we had at Lake Murray, I wasn't doing anything in practice. I was really just struggling and panicking, and then I had a couple guys that I roomed with and traveled with, David Cook and Tracy Adams. They got me on a pattern that helped me finish in 32nd place.
All right, now how about Beaver Lake? We're a couple of days out. How are you feeling about your practice right now?
Well, I've had one good day, and then a not so good day, and then a mediocre day. So I'm still up in the air a little bit, but a little bit apprehensive, but I think I can put something together.
You've had some good results here. You'll probably do well.
I'm looking forward to it.
We're wishing you luck.
Thanks, Taylor.
Alvin Shaw, Kellogg's Pro from State Road, North Carolina, all about practice. Stay tuned, friends. More to come on FLW Outdoors. Hank Parker and Dion Hibden.
Hey, and welcome back to FLW Outdoors. My old buddy Dion Hibden is going to join us and show us all the hot tips on Beaver Lake.
Well, it ain't nothing too hot right now, I can tell you that.
Well, we don't want excuses. We want to see big fish.
No excuses. We're going to get us some.
I already heard you Dad's caught one about 8 or 9 pounds.
Yes, he has.
All right, just show us how that was done.
We'll do it.
How deep do you think these fish spawn on this lake, really?
Oh, there's some of them down on the low end of the lake that'll spawn 8, 9 foot deep. When they get to spawning, there's only about 3 or 4 really good creeks that they do it good in. You can find, you know, one here and one there, but like I say, there's only 2 or 3 of the creeks.
You say that, you know, you and I didn't fish against each other a whole lot. I fished against your dad for years, but you say that so as a matter of fact, like you're sure that there's only 2 or 3 good creeks, and your dad's exactly the same way. I mean, definitely sure of what's...
Yeah, that's one thing about fishing, you know, you got to be pretty sure of, you know, what's going on, and I've fished here probably, you know, Beaver Lake in general, I've probably fished here as much here as I have, you know, anywhere in the country over the years.
So you're going to have a little home court advantage.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I've caught 3 or 4 big bass on this little crankbait, you know. But it's something that, it's not just heading down the bank throwing a crankbait. You bump that thing along them rocks, and it gets out there to be that 7, 8 foot deep where it finally leaves those rocks. You got to stop it every now and then. And half the bites I've had is just like that. Just like that when I stopped it, and that's just a springtime deal for here.
That's a good one too, though.
Good one.
So that's what you're trying to do right there? How many of those you like to catch?
Catch me a couple or 3 of those every day anyway.
Why are you smiling? You like that, don't you?
Now, was that cheesy or what? I'm explaining to you how you need to stop that every now and then, and he grabbed it.
That's pretty good. I'm impressed. I know everybody in America's going to be impressed.
Yeah, my dad, it's not just my dad, he's my best friend. You know, we've spent the last 18 years together. Pretty much about every 2 or 3 days we see each other and we're around each other, so.
Does he pre-fish with you a lot or just?
We fish together normally. If we get to fish 5 or 6 days, we'll spend at least a day together, you know, maybe 2. But yeah, Dad, like I say, he's one of them ones that he can go to a lake and he just takes his time. He doesn't get in a hurry about anything. He takes time and figures them out.
He's one of the best fishermen that I've ever fished against, and one of the smartest guys. I'm not sure he's ever gotten quite the credit for being as smart as he really is and being able to discern water. I mean, he is just a master.
I've never seen him go anywhere that he couldn't catch them.
You said earlier that your dad was not only your dad, he's your best friend, and I've heard you say this before at some of the seminars I've been to that you've given, that he's definitely your hero. How did it feel for you to win the FLW championship, and your mom and dad both? Your mom's been very supportive as well. Sitting out there in the crowd and you know your dad, your best friend, your hero, and you're sitting there winning the championship. Has that
well, that's
been the dream? I mean, is that fulfillment?
You betcha. I said both times, when I won the Classic and the FLW championship, both times if my dad would have been in either one of them tournaments, what would have been cool, and it was, one was because of illness, one was he just didn't qualify one year. Actually, both times because of illness that he didn't qualify. Missed a tournament, didn't qualify. But the neat thing about it was, both tournaments that I won, if he'd been in either one of them, he'd been the guy that had to beat. That would have been the only thing that would have made it sweeter. But the FLW championship, when I won it, that was my deal there. I won that one, and when I came in Monday before the tournament started, I told my wife, I said, okay, I said, I'm gonna grind them up in this one. And she said, well, are you gonna catch big ones? I said, no, but I said, it's not gonna take big ones. I said, I've been here for 5 days, and I said, it's not gonna take big ones. But I said, I know I can catch them. And I said, I know I can catch 10 to 12, 14 a day, 14 pounds a day, and I said, that's gonna be good enough. I said, 40 in the week's out. I said, I'll little fish them to death if I have to. And I told Dad, Dad called me, and he was going to come down for the weigh-in. He called me and he asked me, he said, are you going to catch him? I said, yeah. I said, it's crazy, but I said, I just did figure him out.
Well, Dion, I tell you what, I wish we had all day, but you not only showed us how to catch a fish, you walked us right through it, showed us when to pause. Man, I'm impressed.
That was an accident.
Yeah, well, I think you got it figured out. I think you can do that anytime you want to.
I hope so. I hope so.
But I think this is going to be a good one for you. We're going to move on down the line, but I tell you what, it's been a real treat for me, buddy.
I've always dreamed of fishing with you, and I'm glad I finally got to.
Good deal.
Coming up, 2 FLW rookies, Jeremiah Kindy and Vince Engel, talk about their first year on the FLW Tour. FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Rubbermaid, how life gets organized. By Stanley, make something great. And by Weed Eater, yards ahead, season after season.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors, where each week we introduce you to the great pro anglers on the Walmart FLW Tour, including our rookies.
Anglers can qualify for the tour by doing well in the EverStart series. We're following 2 pros who qualified last year. Jeremiah Kindy, a 25-year-old from Benton, Arkansas, a great story, and also 51-year-old dentist Vince Engel from Maryville, Tennessee. This week on Beaver Lake, we got them together on the water.
It's very fun. Where else can you fish for over $200,000 cash, guys? I mean, $100,000 second place ain't bad either.
I liked Louisiana.
It was good. You had good luck down there. You was good.
I had some misfortune, but...
Yeah, you still laid a nice string in down there.
That's fun. I grew up fishing the Arkansas River also. It's a lot like it.
Over there. Oh, man. I got 8 up. I got 8 up. I promise you, he ate me up. Come on back and I'll show it again.
Jeremiah Kindy and Vince Engel have lots to smile about and lots to talk about. They're in the middle of living every angler's dream, competing in the big leagues of pro fishing.
I mean, it's just awesome. You got all these fans talking to you and wanting autographs, and just being part of it's awesome. I love it.
That EverStart, I love that thing. It's fun. You don't have quite as much pressure. This thing you do have to get a little tougher mentally. I think it's a mental game when you get at this point more than it is possibly, you know, a fishing game. We all have good technique. We all have good style. Everybody in this thing can find fish now, I'm seeing. And secret's finding fish that other people don't. If you can do that, you can win one.
In the first half of the season, both Vince and Jeremiah had their good days, just not 2 good days in a row. And after their success on the EverStart circuit, that has taken some getting used to.
Level of competition-wise, yeah, there is. There's a definite difference. These guys are good. They make a living at it. You know, it's been darn good that I'm a dentist, because I sure hadn't made a living at this fishing lately, but I've learned how to donate gracefully, I guess is a better way to put that.
I think the competition's a little stronger because in EverStart you normally do something or find something someone else is not doing. But in this deal, everybody figures out everything. And everything's got to go perfect to win it.
And since everyone's so good at this level, the pressure is tremendous. Vince and Jeremiah know all about it.
Yeah, it's hard to block it out.
It is hard. You got to do it, though.
For 8 or 9 hours in a day? Well, no, you got to block it out.
You got to block it out through practice. Everything has to be blocked out. You can't let anything interfere with your focus, or you're not going to do it.
So our rookies have realized one dream, and that's just making the FLW Tour. Part 2 of that dream is taking the stage in an FLW final. How's that going to feel?
You know, it's been elusive so far. It's been elusive. Last year, I could fall out of the boat in top 10 one. It's gonna happen, and I can't wait because I just like being there. I like fishing the extra 2 days. I don't like going home. I got to go back to work when I go home.
I don't know if I could tell you. I think I just have to get there, but it'd definitely be exciting. I mean, I'm looking so forward to it. I can't wait.
Now, to qualify for next year's tour, anglers must finish in the top 100. Vince and Jeremiah have got a ways to go, but if they fish well in these last 3 events, they really could do it.
Well, coming up next on FLW Outdoors, Hank Parker joins last year's Walmart Open champion Andre Moore.
So maybe that would be a tip now for the people that live on Beaver Lake. Oh, fish, fish, that's what we've been waiting on.
That's what we've been looking for.
Hi, and welcome back to FLW Outdoors. I tell you, we're having a great time looking at Beaver Lake and getting the top pros in sight, but now we go to the defending champion. Now, you got a lot of pressure on you, defending champion of Beaver Lake. We want to see how you're going to discern all this water.
Well, yeah, defending the title here is going to be, it's probably one of the most difficult things to do in a bass tournament, considering all the variables you have to deal with, but I don't know. I feel pretty good here and comfortable on this lake, and I'm going to give it my best shot.
Well, Mother Nature has definitely thrown a curve to you. You got real cold water versus warmer water last year. You're here a couple weeks earlier, and the lake's about 10 foot lower, so.
Yeah, but it's typical bass fishing tournament. It's never the same every time you come back, so you just kind of leave an open mind and go fishing.
Oh, fish. By the boat ramp, I caught 3 in there on Sunday and had 1 3-pounder. I'm thinking, if I caught 3 and had a 3-pounder, I'd win this thing. I said, where'd you catch me? He said, this little pocket. I said, have you seen anybody in there? He said, no, I hadn't seen a soul. So we went down there and I spent 2 hours fishing that pocket. I said, man, You caught those fish on Sunday, it's Friday, they ought to hit again. He said, oh, they won't ever. Had one key strength. If you say, well, where I'm really my strongest in fishing tournaments, what would that be?
It'd probably have to be sight fishing.
That's your...
I mean, yeah. I have a lot of other things I feel I'm pretty good at, but if somebody had to say, if we were going to schedule a tournament a certain time of year, a certain place, and what the weather could be like, it'd be a sight fishing deal. All depends on the lake, too. I mean, last year, these are probably the toughest little sight fish I've ever caught. I mean, on average, I mean, it was amazing how tough they were.
Well, you figured it out, and the whole key was not going to the bottom, but swimming over top of them.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the biggest thing with tournament fishing is making the right decision. I mean, there's some excellent fishermen out there, and I mean, the hardest thing is though making that right decision.
So it's safe to say during when the hammer drops and the green flag, hammer falls and the green flag waves for the start of this tournament, you're not just going to have one rod with one bait. You're going to have a lot of different baits for different situations.
There might be some guys with one rod and one bait, but I guarantee they're not going to be just sitting on one spot.
You tell me you watched Jimmy Houston when you were about 5 or 6 years old. Of course, he was in his 50s. We won't need to talk about that, but when you were 5 or 6. But you watched Jimmy Houston and you decided you want to be a tournament fisherman, and you start fishing national tournaments. You drive from Scottsdale, Arizona, all the way across America, and you come out here to Beaver Lake and you win your very first national tournament. That's got to be an awesome feeling, and it's got to be a real boost. What did that do for you mentally as far as giving you confidence to go on and be competitive, and what did it do for your career?
Well, I mean, as far as the mental standpoint goes, I mean, I always kind of felt that I could win a national tournament if I didn't step on my own toes. And so that was a pretty big confidence booster. I think ever since then, I've been able to fish a little more relaxed and just kind of do my thing and not worry too much about having to get a paycheck every time. You can actually kind of focus a little more on trying to catch better quality fish. And as far as my career goes, I just, I don't know, I think I'm going to be around a while now, you know.
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. By Eagle Electronics, successful fishing made simple. And by EverStart Batteries, more power for your money.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're outside Rogers, Arkansas on beautiful Beaver Lake, 4th stop on the FLW Tour.
Let's now update you on the rest of the FLW Outdoors family of tournaments. We'll start in the EverStart Eastern Division at Santee Cooper. Our winner, Jacob Parosnik of Prince George, Virginia, fishing the Cypress Knees with a tube and a spinner. He took first place with a $10,000 check and a brand new fully rigged Ranger boat with a catch of 23 pounds and 1 ounce.
From the BFL ranks, the Choo Choo Division on Wheeler Lake, Craig Melton of Lawrenceburg, Tennessee won. He had 18-12. Gator Division, Lake Okeechobee, Brent Probst of Port St. Lucie was the winner with 28-14. On the Texas Tournament Trail at Sam Rayburn, the winner was Gary Paris from Emory, Texas. His winning weight, 22-7.
The RCL Walleye Circuit got underway, starting its season on the Illinois River. John Kalinsky out of Menasha, Wisconsin is the first winner. $50,000 plus a fully rigged Ranger boat. And remember, your best source for online information for all of the FLW Outdoors family of tournaments is FLWOutdoors.com.
And you know, Carlton, it might be chilly here, but it's a good time of year to start thinking about topwater baits. That's the topic of our Ask a Pro question. It comes from Rick Hutchins of Kingsport, Tennessee. And his question is, what's the best time of year to start using topwater baits? Also, what is the best water temperature to fish these lures? And what are some specific topwater lures you like? Rick, your answer comes from Arkansas Pro Greg Carpenter.
Well, Rick, I like to start fishing at topwater in the spring when the water temperature Usually after the spawn, when the water temperature gets between 70 and 80 degrees, and it really makes the fish more aggressive when the water temperature is in that temperature range. It seems like they go to a feeding frenzy at that time. Got it. I often fish a topwater to draw a strike off of structure or cover. The last 2 or 3 years, I've really come on to fishing a summertime pattern on the topwater bait, and that's usually in a lily pads, heavy matted hydrilla. I use a scum frog and a flapping shad in a case like that. Usually on places that have heavy hydrilla or heavy cover, lily pads or what have you, I use a braid, a Power Pro braid, and I use this flapping shad or a scum frog or something to that effect to bring it over the top of the cover, and it works good for me.
All right, guys, time for our Snickers Sneak Preview. And since I picked Dan Moorhead right last time when he made the top 10, I get to start. And I say watch for Carl Swiebeck. He's a local guy. He's finished 3rd and 4th here, and I just like his attitude on life. So I say Carl Swiebeck.
It would be easy to pick a guy like a Clark Wendlandt or a Dan Moorhead on this waterway. They have both done so well at Beaver Lake. However, I'm going to go with Mark Pack, a guy who has finished in the top 10 each the last 2 years and has never finished any worse than 33rd. Mark Pack's my man.
Well, I'm going to go with Nixon. He's going to win before the year's out. We've only got 3 events left, so he's running out of time, and I'm going to pick Nixon. He's great here at his home state, so let's watch out for Larry Nixon, which it's impossible. You know, we got 175 guys to win, so to pull one guy out, it's like drawing a name out of a hat, but I think Nixon's due, so I'm going to go with Larry Nixon.
And if Nixon doesn't win at Beaver Lake, then we know who Hank's pick is going to be for the next event, which is at Kentucky Lake. It'll be Larry Nixon. Or we might round out the season at Lake Wheeler and Larry Nixon once again.
I want to stay with the odds. I'm going to get him before it's out, so I'm going to pick Nixon all the way.
Well, for each of our 3 picks and the other 172 pros in this event, going to the road to Richmond, getting those points is going to be key, and it's going to be big for the anglers, but also it's going to be huge for the fans. It's going to be quite a show.
You know, when I competed, it was always a big deal to make it to the final tournament, to make it to the Super Bowl. So the pressure is mounting, and Richmond's going to be big. I tell you, that's a fishing city. The fan base there is strong, and there's going to be a lot of people coming out. So everybody wants to be at that event, and that's the big dance. So it's a lot of pressure going on.
Big trade show. Public's invited September 10th through 13th. If you want information, go to FLWOutdoors.com or RichmondVA.org. It's going to be a big deal. The Jacobs Cup in September in Richmond.
The only drawback to Richmond is the Coliseum's not all that big, so you need to make your reservations now. I mean, it's going to fill up. We're going to have a lot of people there, so make your reservations to come to Richmond.
Thanks for watching this week on FLW Outdoors, and be sure to tune in next week when we will crown a $200,000 winner of the 2003 Walmart Open.
Takes the bait, don't give it some slack. She's a trophy winner, and I'm bringing her back. Gone fishing, this must be paradise. Gone fishing, yeah.
And also Angler of the Year. There's pressure to...
You're doing good. We'll get it. Those socks make a lot of difference, I'm telling you. Can you not see what we're doing? Hold it right on.